Welcome to Phrasal Verb Practice. This is the place to learn real English, one phrasal verb at a time. My name is Marissa, and I'll walk you through this learning journey. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing great. Today we're diving into the phrasal verb carry on. It's a very common one, and you'll hear it all the time in everyday conversations, at work, and in daily life. So let's start with what carry on actually means. First, one very common meaning of the phrasal verb carry on is to continue doing something. When we say carry on, the idea is that an action keeps going, maybe after a pause, a problem, or an interruption. For example, please carry on with your work. She stopped for a second and then carried on talking. Even after the mistake, they carried on as usual. Now, there's another meaning you'll hear a lot in conversations. We also use carry on when someone behaves in an annoying, dramatic, or exaggerated way. Basically, it sounds like the person is making a bigger deal out of something than necessary. For example, he was carrying on about a small problem. She carried on like it was a huge drama. Stop carrying on and relax. There's one more meaning, and this one is informal. Sometimes, carry on means to have a secret romantic or sexual relationship, usually one that shouldn't be happening. For example, they were carrying on behind everyone's back. People later found out he was carrying on with a coworker. Now, here's the key idea that connects all these meanings. When we say carry on, we're always talking about something that continues. It can be an action, a behavior, or even a relationship. But the core idea is always the same. Before we move on, let's do a quick check in other languages, just to make it clear. In Spanish, it's like decir continuar, seguir adelante, o hacer un escándalo. In French, it's continuer or faire toute une histoire. In Portuguese, continuar or fazer drama. In Italian, continuare or andare avanti. In German, weitermachen or fortfahren. In Japanese, tsuzukeru. And in Chinese, qishu. Now let's talk about when people usually use the phrasal verb carry on. People use carry on when they want someone to continue doing something. They use it when an activity keeps going after an interruption. They also use it to talk about someone acting in an exaggerated or emotional way. And sometimes, in informal situations, they use it to talk about secret relationships. Let's look at a few clear examples to sum it up. The meeting stopped for a moment, then we carried on. This is about continuing. Please carry on with the presentation. That's also about continuing. She kept carrying on about the delay. That's the dramatic behavior meaning. He was carrying on like it was the end of the world. Same idea. They were secretly carrying on for months. That's the informal relationship meaning. Now, let's talk a bit about how carry on works grammatically. The phrasal verb carry on is generally inseparable. That means we don't split the verb and the particle. We often use carry on with a verb in the ing form. For example, she carried on talking. We also often use it with the word with when we mention the activity directly. For example, he carried on with his job. And this is an important clarification. The phrasal verb is still carry on. Carry on with is not a different phrasal verb. The word with is just a preposition we add when we say what continues. So, when we say carry on alone, it's usually because we don't mention the activity. For example, please carry on. They paused and then carried on. But when we clearly say what continues, we use carry on with. For example, please carry on with your work. Let's carry on with the meeting. He carried on with it. The meaning stays exactly the same, only the structure changes. One common mistake to avoid is this. We don't say carry on it. We say carry on with it. Now it's time to practice. First, you're going to listen to a short text from everyday life. After that, you'll hear another text in a professional or office context. Are you ready? Let's start. It was one of those slow Saturday mornings. I woke up later than usual, made some coffee, and sat at the table scrolling through my phone. I had planned to clean the apartment, but honestly, I wasn't in a rush. I told myself I'd start after breakfast and just carry on with the day at an easy pace. While I was eating, my sister called. She started carrying on about how busy her week had been and how tired she felt. I listened, laughed a bit, and let her talk. She always does that when she's stressed, but once she gets it out, she's fine. After a while, she calmed down and said she had to carry on with her errands. I finally stood up and decided to carry on with the cleaning. I put on some music and started picking things up. Halfway through, I realized I'd forgotten to buy groceries. For a second, I thought about stopping everything, but then I figured I'd just carry on and finish one room first. Later that afternoon, a friend came over unexpectedly. The place wasn't perfect, but I didn't make a big deal about it. We sat on the couch, talked about random things, and carried on like we always do. At one point, he started carrying on about a movie he didn't like, getting way too dramatic about it, which made me laugh. When he left, I went back to what I was doing and carried on with the rest of the chores. By the time the sun started going down, everything was done. I felt tired, but relaxed. That night, as I got ready for bed, I thought about how small interruptions always happen. Plans change. People complain. Things don't go perfectly. But most days, the best thing you can do is just carry on, adjust a little, and keep moving. So that's what I did. I turned off the lights, got into bed, and carried on with my night routine like always. Great, that was the first text. How many times did you hear the phrasal verb of the day? Now, let's move on to the second text. The day started with a short team meeting that was supposed to last 10 minutes, but it went a bit longer than planned. The internet cut out for a moment, people joked about it, and then the manager smiled and said we should carry on. Everyone laughed, and we carried on like nothing had happened. After the meeting, I sat at my desk and opened my inbox. There were a few emails waiting, including one about a project that had been delayed. For a second, it felt frustrating, but my coworker leaned over and said we should just carry on and adjust the timeline. That made sense, so we decided to carry on with the tasks that were already clear. Later in the morning, another teammate started carrying on about a small mistake in a report. He was clearly stressed and making it sound bigger than it was. Our supervisor listened, nodded, and then calmly told him to fix it and carry on. That simple phrase helped everyone relax. Around lunchtime, we had a quick follow-up meeting. One person apologized for being late, and the rest of us told her it was fine and to carry on with the update. The conversation stayed focused, and we carried on through the agenda without any issues. In the afternoon, a client called unexpectedly with questions. Even though it interrupted our workflow, we answered, handled the problem, and then carried on with the rest of the day. By that point, everyone was a little tired, but no one stopped working. As the day wrapped up, I reviewed my to-do list. A few things would have to wait until tomorrow, and that was okay. I sent one last email, shut down my computer, and felt satisfied. Some days aren't perfect, but at work, the key is knowing when to pause and when to carry on. Great! That was the second text, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for following this channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye!